Well, I am here. This is Judy McKee. Oh, it's so great to be with you today. In this session, I'm going to talk a lot about confidence because I get asked this all the time. Why are you so confident, Judy? Well, you know what? I have learned what it takes to be confident. I have learned what it takes. Now, if you're not confident, I'll tell you something right now. One of the most important things in the world is that you have confidence. Now, when you start out in a new business or when you're in the beginning parts of your business, maybe you don't have complete confidence. So today I'm going to show you what it really takes to begin, and it's not hard at all. It actually is not hard at all. And I'll tell you how this happened to me. I was a businesswoman, of course, and I was working my business and trying to do everything everybody told me to do, just like you're doing. And a very funny thing happened. I didn't feel confident, although I knew what I was doing. In other words, when I went to my job, when I went into my office, when I met with clients, when I did certain things, I had confidence, a little bit of confidence, just enough, to get your business started. And then I realized I started to worry about whether I was going to get clients or not. And I met this amazing man named Richard Byrne. And I got to drive him in my car to San Diego from Los Angeles. And he was a brilliant professor at USC. And he was so smart. And he sat in my car and he was talking to me. And he said, I was a businesswoman. And I said, oh, really? And he said, well, we'll talk about it. So for about 2 or 3 hours, we talked about it. So I'm going to tell you what I learned in that 3 hours. And I'm going to tell you in just a few minutes. The only job that you have is you want to master confidence because it is the beginning. It is the foundation. So many times I have realized throughout my life that there are 2 things you absolutely have to have in this world. And so today I'm going to talk about one of those things. The 2 rules that are in all of our training courses. In other words, something is there at the foundation. Something is there at the bottom of every single thing we do. And that foundation is that we actually are teaching our people, the people who come to our classes, we are teaching communication skills because we believe that you cannot succeed on this planet if you cannot communicate. And it's true. When you go to a networking meeting or you call somebody on the phone or somebody comes into your office or you're online and you're speaking to them, what is the most important thing that's going on? Well, I will tell you what it is. It is communication. It is you and one other person. Or maybe in case of like me, when I'm standing in front of an audience, I want communication with the whole audience. But you have to have the ability to communicate. And now that you're with our course, you're going to love it because you are going to learn communication skills because it's the bottom of everything that we teach. We may teach it individually. We may teach it with how to handle an upset or how to deal with objections or how to open a phone call or how to speak in front of a room. It doesn't matter. You are going to learn communication skills whenever you come with us because it is the foundation of every single thing we do. And we learned that, and I learned that when I was sitting there with Professor Byrne. And it was an amazing experience to be with him for 3 hours. This was a blessing. In our days, we didn't have coaches. I want you to be our student, our coachee, our consultant, our trainer, so that we can teach you how to communicate skills. And if you learn them, you will be able to teach them to other people. You will be able to make a huge difference in this world. But you have to have self-esteem. So you say, well, Judy, how can I build my own self-esteem? How do you build self-esteem anyway? What does it take? Well, I call it old school cool. In other words, you really want to find out in life in all of your life. What works and what doesn't work. That is the key to life. What works and what doesn't work. For instance, hard work, worrying, doubt, fear, learning, thinking. All those things don't work. Oh, and that's backwards from what you were taught. You have to calm down. You have to figure out what's missing. You have to look at life in a whole different way. And if you will, what'll happen is you're going to find out what builds your confidence. So today, I'm going to give it to you right now. You're not going to have to worry about it very much because I'm going to tell you exactly what works if you want to build your confidence. And you absolutely have to do it yourself. That's the hardest part, I think. You know, the hardest part about building self-esteem is that you have to do it. There's no one coming to help you. There is no prince, you know, on white horses, you know, Game of Thrones, and all the leaders and the people with the biggest swords. You have to build your own self-esteem. That's absolutely imperative. It is what you have to do. And today I'm going to show you how to do it. Because really, worrying never works. Now, you know, people have said it. The great mystics of the world have said it. The great thinkers and all the think tanks in the world have said it. Worrying has never gotten anybody anywhere. Because worrying is always looking way far into the future, how it will not work. So that's a negative thought, and you don't want that. That's not unlimited. That's very limited. Wishing. Now, wishing is good. You know, I like to wish for things. I do. But wishing doesn't make it so. Okay? Wishing does not make it so, especially if you do not have confidence in yourself. Hoping. Oh my gosh. Hoping is, to me, hoping is the lowest state of consciousness. Hoping means you doubt that it's going to happen, so you hope it will. You doubt that something's going to happen, so now you put your hands together as in prayer, and you hope it'll turn out differently from what you're thinking. Well, it does not. What you are thinking and what you're doing with your brain all day long, what you are doing with your mind, is what gives you the power. That is why you have to figure out what doesn't work. You know, that parental voice in the back of your head. You know, I had one. Oh my gosh. And you know what's funny? My mother was a wonderful person. But yet all those old school rules that she had were always in my head. You know, things like, take it down, Judy. Could you lower your voice, Judy? Could you be quiet, Judy? Don't talk so much, Judy. Don't act like you're such a big shot, Judy. Don't do this, don't do that. And that's what I heard all my life. I not know this. What are the things that cause us not to have confidence? What is it? What is it that removes the confidence from our consciousness? Well, I'll tell you absolutely for certain, it's worrying. Worrying is taking up all that wonderful, magical time in your mind when you could be creating. You could be thinking of new ways to build your coaching and consulting business. You could be thinking of new ways to train something. I used to always write down every single day, at the end of every single day. And if you want to do this, I'll tell you, this would be a smart thing to do. Every single day, I would write down on my blank piece of paper with a line down the middle what worked and what didn't work today. And sometimes I would be training in a room and someone would be heckling me or something. And then I would give that person all my attention. Well, that didn't work. See, that did not work. And I found out that worrying about that one person when I had 27 other people who were with me, they were the people that really wanted what I had. And so I realized I was worrying about the one. Well, that didn't work. So the next time I gave a class and there was someone heckling me, I handled that and moved on to the other people who were paying attention, who were going, oh, Judy, 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 tell me what to do. That really, really worked for me. And it worked because I had to rethink the seminar. I had to rethink the speaking engagement and see what was it that worked about that one and what didn't work. I started to drop all the things that didn't work, keep all the things that did work. Now, wishing is good. I mean, we like to have an imagination, but we want to have that imagination to be thinking in a more positive term, like, yes, it is going to happen. Hoping, I call a very, very low state of consciousness. This is where, you put your two hands together in prayer and you look out at the universe or up into the sky and say, I hope this works. Well, that does not give you confidence. Hope has a little big, fat doubt in it, doesn't it? And doubting never works. Doubting yourself, doubting your clients, doubting your life, doubting your business, doubting your studying, your learning, whatever it is you're doing. When you start to doubt it, it doesn't work. That goes on to the doesn't work pile, And by the way, all of those things are under fear. Now, how do they come about? How do they come about? I think most of the time they come about from your parental voice. That voice in your head that's picking on you. My mother was a wonderful person, yet she would always be saying, Judy, could you lower your voice? Take it down a few notches, Judy, would you? Stop bragging. You're too big for your britches. My mother said things like that. And what happened about that was that I put that voice in the back of my head and I kept it there all my life. I mean, it's still there. But I don't let it run me anymore because that parental voice is not smart. It's not making me better. It's not making me smarter. It's not making me more giving. It's not helping me to help others. So I say to you, please let go of that voice. Start to notice when it's there. Pay attention. When you know what to do, when you know your numbers, you can build your self-confidence. Now, why do I say this? Because when I met this amazing man, Richard Byrne, he asked me, was I spontaneous? I said, oh, of course I am. And he said, good, but what are your numbers? I said, I don't know what my numbers are. I mean, I'm spontaneous. I just live in the moment. I go out there and give it all I've got, and I always win. Well, I was winning to some degree. But when I felt low or I didn't win with the spontaneity, when it didn't happen, I didn't know where to turn. So what did I do? I went inward. I doubted myself. I feared that the world was not going to work. Maybe I wasn't as good as I thought I was. Maybe I didn't know as much as I think I know. And maybe I couldn't share it in a way. Maybe no one would listen. All of these words would be in the back of my head, because I didn't know my numbers. And I'm telling you today, you need to know your personal numbers. It's not the numbers that your company told you once, which is, by the way, how it all started for me with worrying about numbers, because there was a speaker, actually, I bolted out of a room once. I will never forget it. I bolted right out of the room because this man said, it takes 100 phone calls to get a sale. What? I don't want to make 100 phone calls. I don't want to start calling 1, 2, 3, 100. What are you talking about? I want to be really good at it. I want to make 10 calls. And this person said, no, 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 you have to make 100 calls. And I thought to myself, Richard Byrne was right. I need to find out what it takes for me to succeed. I need to know my own personal number. That's what he said. He said, find out what your own personal number was. Now, here's how I did it. I was selling real estate at that time. This was at the very beginning of my sales career. Believe me, I didn't know I didn't know that someday I was going to turn out to be a master of training. I didn't know someday I was going to be training thousands of people all over the world. I didn't know that. I thought, I wanted to sell a house. That's all I thought. I want to put my kids through college. That's what it was really about. I had no education. I couldn't, become a doctor or a lawyer or anything. I didn't have any education for that. And someone I loved very much said, why don't you go into sales? You can make all the money in the world if you know how to sell. Well, at any rate, that's another whole story. But I want you to know that what I did was something that I want you to do. I did my homework. Whatever my teacher told me to do, I did it. That's the only difference between me and 1,000 other trainers who started out to have a great business, but they don't have a great business today. Today they're calling me to say, I'll take your extra jobs, Judy, because you see, they don't want to do the work. But I do my homework, that's all. And I do it every day. It's not hard. I just do what the master said. You know, pay attention. It's samurai salesmanship. You know, I did what someone told me to do. Well, in this case, Dr. Byrne told me I ought to know what my numbers are, that anyone in business knows their numbers. And so I started to track the numbers that I did. And after I tracked the numbers, in other words, I kept track of how many people I showed houses to, how many houses did I show them before I sold one, how many hours did I spend on the phone, how many people did I talk to, how many dials did I make before I spoke to someone, how many appointments did I have to have before I sold someone into using me to sell their house. Real estate was my career, and I was making good money, and I had 3 kids a year apart. They all wanted to go to college. Well, wanted to go. I insisted they go. They are going to college or over my dead body, if you know what I mean. They are going to go to college. And I needed the money, and I was very motivated. And I found out what it took. I tracked it. Now, here's the interesting fact. This is true about me. It took 20 houses. I don't care if I showed 4 people 5 houses each, 1 person 20 houses, 5 people 4 houses each, whatever. After I showed 20 houses, I sold one. Every single time, by the way. Every single time I did. And what happened was, it worked out really, really well. So then what happened was, I started to realize, well, if I have to show 20 pieces of property, that's a lot. I mean, I've got to be out on the road all the time. I'm going to miss the ball game. I'm not going to have that much fun. So I decided to concentrate on listings, because I tracked how many times I talked to people that I would get an appointment for a listing. And so I started to go on the phones 1 hour every day. That's all. Effortless, 1 hour per day. I made an appointment almost every single day. I didn't know then that I had a technique. Now that you're in our training, you're going to learn that technique. But I didn't know I had a technique. I was what you call a natural. I just want to control every conversation. But I found out that if I made 5 listing appointments, one of them would list with me. That's 20%. I mean, if I couldn't get 20%, if I couldn't get 1 out of 5, why was I in business? I must be terrible at it. If I actually talk to 5 people about doing business with me, and they're sincere and they mean it, and I'm sincere and I mean it, then somebody's going to get a job here, and that somebody is me. So I started to make appointments to get listings, because it was much easier than schlepping people all around the city to sell their homes. And I got 1 listing every week. Now, in the old real estate world, we would say, you know, if it's listed, it's half sold. Now, you can take years and years and years to learn this if you want. You can just take step by step. Every day you can write down what works and what doesn't work, or you can take my word. That's your choice at all times. Take my word. Personally, I would take my word, because I've already proven it for 40 years that it works. And I want you to do it, and I want you to be really, really successful. So the lesson here is this. Spontaneity doesn't really work. I mean, you can be spontaneous, and that's totally fun, and I still am. I mean, I'm crazy. I see a shiny object, and I go directly in that direction. But there is no confidence in building your business if you're only spontaneous and you don't know the numbers. When you know the numbers, not the business numbers, not the ones that are on the internet, not what people tell you, but you do your own work, track your own numbers. After you find out what is common for you, by the way, after you find out what is common for you, you can start to fix it and make it better. So I call this method, as we started out today, the 5-5-5. If I did 5 things, I then had a sale. That still works for me today. 5 things. In my business right now, I do exactly this. Oh, wait, I've got it on a slide. Let me show you. If, for instance, Sally, as you know, my daughter, Sally Cordova, she and I are in business together. And what happens is she'll say, Mom, I'm not booked out in 3 or 4 months from now. I have a big, fat 2-week opening in October. So then what do? I say, okay, Sal, I'm on it, 5-5-5. That's the kind of confidence you could have if you tracked your numbers. So I would do this, and this is how it ended up for me. I made a simple rule for myself called 5-5-5, in which I would call 5 new people I'd never spoken to. Doesn't matter where I get them. Doesn't matter where I find them. Doesn't matter if I bought a list. Doesn't matter if I met them at a convention or I went to a networking meeting and I met 5 new people. It does not matter at all. I want you to get that it is the mindset. It is the confidence you will gain from this. It is the ability to think that one of those 5 people might hire me. That's a possibility. That's possibility thinking. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they want. I don't know if I have something that they want. I am going to call them. I'm going to discover what they're looking for. They may all 5 be no good for me whatsoever. That's a very real possibility. But it doesn't matter because I know that if I make 15 calls, somebody is going to hire us. The next one is 5 follow-up calls. Now, these are people that I know, people that I've called before, people that know who I am, people that I just spoke to last week, and we didn't close anything. It wasn't a one call, one and done, one call close, but they're still there. They've been set up with follow-up calls in my appointment book or my software set up here for appointments. They're there. So they're already there, and I'm going to call 5 of them. And then lastly, I'm going to call what I call Lazarus calls. In other words, these are people, we're going to raise these people from the dead. We're going to go find them. We talked to them 2 years ago, and they said, no way, we don't want you. Are you kidding? We're not going to pay you. They turned us down flat, and that happened sometime in the past, but they're still in my database, you bet. And I'm going to call 5 of them. As I said, I call them Lazarus. I'm going to raise those people from the dead. Or not. I might not. But here's the key. I am so confident that if I make those 15 calls, I am going to get a job for myself or for Sally. And the way that I'm going to do it, or why I believe in that, is because I have tracked my numbers. I've tracked them for years. I don't even track them anymore. I mean, once in a while I get thinking, I better track my numbers. Maybe I'll track them today. But I usually don't because I already know this rule. Now, you have a career out there. You have a thing to do. You have something you want to do. You have people you want to engage with. And like I said, you have to build your own self-esteem. How are you going to build it? How are you going to build your own self-esteem? How are you going to do the thing that makes you hugely successful? Well, you're going to drop the worrying and start tracking numbers. And by the way, I'm going to give you a lesson on literally how to do it. Now, here is the how to do it. Okay? This is what you have to do, what you could do. That if you did this thing that I'm going to give you the homework on here, you would start to see how confident you would become. Because I'm telling you, without confidence and self-esteem and the ability to communicate with your species, you will not make it in a sales career. It's not a trick. It's not an ad. It's not some billions of people you're going to contact. You have to eventually talk to them. And you are a coach. You are a consultant who knows your business. You are a trainer who could train many, many, many people that need your assistance. You have this gift of coaching others. That gift needs to be shared. But you can't share it if you don't have confidence. All right? So here's what I would do if I were you. And if I had to start all over again, here's what I would do. I would take any list that I had, anyone, a list that I bought, a list that I borrowed, a list that I found. I've got here about 50 business cards sitting on my counter here that I got at a national convention. And I went to that and I got all these cards. I don't care how many cards I gave away. I care how many cards did I get. Okay? The world is backwards. Don't give away your card. Get other people's cards. I mean, if you can be trusted to do your work here, the 555. You start right where you are with a blank slate. You have a blank piece of paper, a table, an Excel formatted file, I don't know, something that you're going to write all this down on. Here is the key to being really great at confidence. Give up judging what you do and the thinking that I'm not doing it right. No, I want you to think I am just counting. I count. That's what I do. When people say, Judy, what do you do in your life? I say, I just work here. You know, I just work here. I just do what works. And when I do what works, I succeed every time, every single time. Decide how long you will work on it each day. I call it a timed game. And I did that because I was one of those people who was taught by my mother, by my father, by my leaders, by my boss, by my trainer, by my manager. Persist, persist, persist. Work harder, work harder, work harder. I found out in my list of what worked and what didn't work that working harder didn't work. It just gave me a feeling that I wasn't going to get the job. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm working really, really hard and I didn't get the job. Sometimes I think the working harder absolutely stops you from getting the job. Because why? Because it makes you look like you don't have confidence. And even if no one else sees it, you do. You do. That old persistence gag from the 50s is out. But you have to believe in yourself. You do. Believe in yourself. Just count at first. Just don't even worry about it. You're starting your business or you're starting this new game in your business. All you do is keep score. You could call for a certain period of time each day or a certain amount of calls. Now, I will tell you that at this point in life right now, I would do 555. Just do my 15 calls. I don't know how long it would take me. I might dedicate a whole morning to it, a whole day to it. But I would call 15 and I would get a job. Maybe, now the key here, of course, it might not be from those 15. But you see, you're going to build this up over time. Now, when I first started, when I was in real estate, I didn't know about 555. I wasn't tracking it, and I didn't put that together for a couple of years. That's why I say, why should you waste time? Don't waste time. Do this, and you will see it works. What I did was I set aside 1 hour every day, and I was working with my business partner at that time, and she and I would both stand at our desks and start dialing for sale by owners in real estate. That's where I started. Today, of course, I call people who are in business, who have call centers, small businesses who have salespeople, businesses who need coaching, who want group coaching or training. And I find out what they want because I can offer individual coaching, executive coaching, group coaching. That's really fun. And by the way, there's a lot of money in it if you're a good coach. And also, I would do training, of course. And so what I would do is I would pick up the phone, and Channing, my business partner, would pick up her phone, and we would dial away for an hour. And during that time, we tracked it. And we played it, I call it like basketball. In other words, when you play basketball, the game is over at a certain time. You know, baseball is different. It's never over until it's over. So therefore, you don't want to play it like baseball. Don't just keep dialing and dialing and dialing and dialing and dialing until you get somebody. No, that won't build your confidence. Do you see? No, it won't. Now, what you do, though, is you track everything. You track how many voicemail messages did I leave? When I talked to some person, when I really, those were, they got hearts around them on my paper. If I actually talked to somebody, if I got a chance to communicate with some other person, they answered their phone, which today, by the way, in this world right now, that's harder, isn't it? People don't answer their phones anymore. I don't know. It's a different world. So you may have to dial more than usual. But I would track every time I actually talked to someone. Personally, I would record the calls to see what I did that worked and what I did that didn't work. But that's another whole training, okay? So track any time you receive permission to talk to a potential client. I want you to be paying attention to your intention. So therefore, I want you to be able to really and truly know that you have permission to talk to that person. Not that you're giving them, like, I've been talking now, what, 35 minutes? If you were talking for 35 minutes to somebody, they'd go crazy. They can't hear you after 20 seconds. You actually have to get permission to talk to them to see right away. You would find out if they were interested. And that's all you really want in that call, interest. You let that client move into commitment later or find out if they're really committed. Make your discovery as to the needs and the wants of that prospect. You want to find out, what do they want? We'll talk all about how to ask that question later. Make your presentation. Set a time for an appointment or a visit. Keep track of that so you know, in the end, how many people did you dial? How many emails did you leave? And you track this over a period of time. Now, when I started, I tracked myself for 3 months. I don't know if you have to track yourself for that long. That's how long I did it. I did it for 3 months. And I kept track of it at the end of every day. In those days, I used to use paper. You know, on the bottom of the paper, it would say I made 9 calls. I talked to 3 people. I got an appointment with 1. Next day, made 15 calls. Got no appointments, 0. And I would keep tracking. And the hardest part about it was not to judge myself, not to be mean to myself. If I didn't get an appointment, not to beat myself up for that. That's right. Go up to that 3rd line. Give up judging it and think, I'm just counting. I am only counting. That's all. That's all I'm doing. I'm just counting the numbers. I'm looking to see how good I am. I'm looking to find out how many people I have to talk to before I can get the job done. Think of every great thinker in the world. What do they say? What do they say? The greatest thinkers, the mystics, the think tank people, those people who seem to know everything. They're so smart. They will tell you, let it go. Meaning, count. See if you can just count. It's not easy, because you are so trained in punishing yourself, saying, well, I called 5 people and then I didn't get one. Uh-oh, I must be bad. Something's wrong with me. Or maybe you blame them. That's the other part. Oh, all those people are so mean out there. You know, it was interesting because when I first started in real estate, everybody said, no one will ever take your calls. Everybody took my calls. Practically everybody. And if they slammed the phone on my ear, I just dialed another one. I don't take that personally. They don't know me well enough to be personal. I don't take that personally. Why would I? They don't even know me. When you get to know me, you can take it personally. If someone hung up on me today after they knew me, I mean, that would destroy me, I'm sure. But that just doesn't happen. You want to pay attention to your intention. It's so important. What is your intention? If your intention is really to serve them, they will hear it in your voice. If your attention is to get them to come into your office, they'll get that too. continue with all the training that we're providing for you because you're going to learn how to make that real. Then you want to do this. After you've found out what your numbers are, and you've tracked them, then you can start to count on it. And let me tell you something, your business may thrive, and not one of those 15 people that you called or the number that you have hired you. But you will be hired. And you know why? Because your intention is so clear. All right? See, when you know, you know. When you know and you know, you know. When you don't know what you don't know. So that's why if you don't know your numbers, then you're not really in business, are you? There isn't a sales company in the world that doesn't have a whole staff of people keeping track of the numbers. They do that. That's what they hire them for. Well, your numbers may be better than mine. Maybe you'll only have to dial 3 people and get an appointment. I don't know. Maybe it'll be 6. Maybe it'll be 10. It's never more than 10. Remember that. Never more than 10. Your numbers may be worse than mine. Your numbers may be better than mine. But you will know what your numbers are. And you will have proof. And you know what? You will have your own proof, not what the soothsayers say, not what the psychic told you, not what the guru at the sales conference told you. No. You will have your own proof. And when you know, oh my gosh, I can't explain to you the kind of confidence you're going to have. You will know, and you will know your own numbers. Now, it will take a little while because you don't have your numbers now, but you need to have your numbers and pay attention to how often you make it the responsibility of other people to track your numbers. Don't do it. Well, I mean, you can do that. If you work for somebody, it's fine with me if they track your numbers. I don't care about that, but that isn't who you are. You want to track your very own numbers so that you can be confident in yourself. So you will know that if you needed a job or you wanted a training opportunity or you wanted a new consulting client or you wanted a new coaching client, you would then know what it takes to get one. That you need to talk to a certain amount of people and one of them will hire you. Maybe not one of them that you're actually talking to today, but one of them. Somebody will call you, and by the way, when they do call, don't do this. Oh no, a miracle happened. Somebody called me about coaching. Somebody called me about training and consulting. Somebody called me. It came out of the blue. No, it did not. It came out of your intention and the attention that you paid on what you're doing. It's so much fun. And it's so delicious when you know your own numbers. When you know them, you are so confident, it's unbelievable. And what happens when you're confident is that your prospect will be confident in you. You won't have to trick them. You won't have to have some weird thing you do so that they get to play with you. You won't have to do that. But you need to track it so that you can learn. All right? How many calls did you make? How many people did you talk to? How many emails did you leave? How many voicemail messages did you leave? How much time did you take? I would never take more than an hour, by the way, because it gets hard to keep your intention up after an hour. Now, what Channing and I used to do is we would stop everything. We would call for an hour like a basketball game, really. We would set a timer, and we would dial away and email away and do whatever we did for an hour. And then we would stop and go take a break, get a cup of coffee, a donut, read a book, meditate, say your affirmations, and we would do something else to distract ourselves from those calls. And then sometimes when we felt like it, only if we feel good and only if we want to, we would go back on the phones again. Or one of us would, the other one would go over to the escrow company or something. But I think 1 hour at a time is plenty. How many appointments did you make? That's what you want to know. You want to know, how many appointments did I make? How many people did I talk to? How many emails did I send? And you want to keep track of these for a period of time. The period of time has to be up to you. I did it for 3 months. Now, that's a long time, but maybe a month would work. 4 weeks. Or while you're in our course, the 8 weeks in our course, do it for 8 weeks. At the end of 8 weeks, you would know exactly how many people you need to talk to before you get a client. You would know that. So what I want you to do is I really want you to trust the universe. I know the universe always says yes. I mean, the sun is coming up tomorrow and you can count on it, can't you? Yes, you can. And so you want to relax and do what feels good to you. That's so important. Not to stress out, not to wish and dream and worry and hope. No, you just want to follow a couple of very simple rules. And the rules are learn communication skills. And if you start to talk to clients, you are going to learn them. And now that you're in our course, if you are, you're going to learn them. You're going to learn communication skills and many, many, many ways to build your own self-esteem. So start today. Write down what worked today for yourself, Write down what didn't work. Check yourself. How did I feel about this? Do you trust that it's going to work? If you doubt that it's going to work, check that, I'm doubting. There I am, doubting again. So you have your homework. Let's go back over to the homework page. This is what you have to do. Take any list. It doesn't matter what the list is. It doesn't matter because we're working on intention and confidence and communication skills. So, if they hang up on you, fine. That's counting. That's one. Hung up on me. Start where you are. Have a clean slate. Nothing you did in the past means anything today. Not at all. Give up the judging of yourself, especially of yourself, and give up judging or blaming other people. That will never work. It should go under the this doesn't work column. Decide how long you will work on it. My recommendation is that you play it like a game. For an hour, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to take any calls or pay attention to my LinkedIn or my Facebook or any other thing. I am going to make my calls today. You could call for a certain time period or a certain amount of calls. I'm going to dial 10 times. I do the 555. And I usually will, sometimes I'll spread it out over a day. Sometimes I'll just make 5 in an hour and say, that's it. I'm going to do 5 more tomorrow, 5 more the next day. I mean, our clients pay us a good deal of money, so therefore I only need one client. So I don't have to spend many, many hours. I just do 555 in a week, and by the end of the week, we have a new gig. And that's how confident I am, and you can be as confident as that. Just take my word for it. No, I don't. You have to practice. You have to do it so that you really do eventually have the confidence that you need to make a commitment for what you want. That's what you want to do. And you can talk to people all day long without that intention, and it won't work. And then you'll say, oh no, I talked to 100 people, it didn't work. No, talk to 5 people and make it work, all right? Track any time you receive permission to talk. Now, I think that's one of the most important things in the world, that you have permission to talk to people rather than, pitch your product so fast, to give them everything you've got. Don't do that. Find out what they want. Ask great questions. Make your discovery. Find out if they really need you. Maybe they don't. Just because you think they need you doesn't mean they think they need you. Make your presentation, set time for an appointment or a visit. Do this with 5 new calls and 5 follow-up calls or 5 Lazarus calls. And you will soon find that you have the confidence that is required. People will feel that confidence that you have. You will know that you know. And when you know that you know, there's no one who can take that away from you. No one ever can take that from you because you know and you know you know. You have proof. Check the numbers. Pay attention. You have to trust yourself and you have to trust in the universe. It always works. It always works positively. Move forward, forward, forward. Universe never goes back. So why would you ever look back at what you did? It doesn't make any difference. It's over. Relax and do what feels good because people out there need your coaching. People out there need your consulting. People out there need your training. and no one is coming to help you. You have to help yourself. And the way you do it is you learn communication skills and you build your own self-esteem. You will never be sorry that you did that. All right, that's the end. Keep studying, keep doing what you need to do, keep finding out what works and what doesn't work. Stop doing what doesn't work, and you will be amazed at the discovery of you yourself and the power that you have. All right, bye-bye.